I may or may not put this up, but this is like what we used to call old hat, or sometimes in the morning when I wake up, a lot of stuff comes to me, downloads as they like to call them. They, them. Did you ever see the movie called Them? That also was in New Mexico, by the way, in black and white checkerboard. Um, but something that was mentioned in the Voyager materials about families. This is all about families, and that would be true. And when I was growing up as a little kid, that's one of the first things that you want to, it comes natural to you, right? When you're trying to figure out and put a puzzle together, a crossword, cross, the vertical and the horizontal stabilizer of a sphere, putting the information together as fast as you can, trying to figure out how you land it in a place that operates the way that it does here, which you realize is going into a Death Star, a death spiral. The energy that you do see, the energy that you don't see. Hey, turn the lights on, right? The way that that's experienced. And so I remember she mentioned about how it was all about families. And then the first thing that comes to mind is like, if you want to go back in time to like the Crusades, pick any century that you want that's in history, written in the books, unless you experienced it directly and you can pull it up in your memory or have access to the records in which the images are there because they're in the records. And I'm reminded, for example, just to use an example, I'm a king and married to a queen in my particular bloodline. So I'm being the devil's advocate, as they say here, right? And I'm going to protect what it is my seed produced through a female mitochondrial lab, which means a female. And what happens is, in this case, is that I've inherited, I'm the son of another male who was also a king. And over the course of 2,000 years, against other races, if you will, was successful through technology to defeat them. Now I get all the booty. Whatever was there that is translated as value, which would be resources, that is considered to be valuable to others. If it's not valuable to the rest of the universe of consciousness, then it's not going to translate as power in the way that power becomes inverted. So in other words, inverters, their perception of power is through the acquisition of energy, more energy, and the way that that energy is translated in some form that has a function. In this case, money, gold, silver, gems, crystals, or technology transfer. Hey, look at the technology transfer. Look at the technology transfer of what we have available. What are you willing to trade for? What are you willing to give up? So what happens is when technology is put into the game, starships, directed energy weapons, etc., replicators, the sky's the limit with your imagination and what you can create in developing the function for which technology is applied with consciousness that we now experience the result. So if you take the family that I'm referring to here, where I'm a king and I've inherited a big number, I even have an army at my disposal, right? So you know that I need intelligence to find out that, I got a lot of stuff. I've got a pretty large army. My net worth is 140 planets, all right, that come under my jurisdiction as an empire, right? And I'm not necessarily trying to put my name and label on that many more planets and other galaxies. I'm pretty happy with what I got right now, but I need to make sure that I protect my investment, which represents all the folks that are on the payroll that I have to maintain as my security force. So my security force is based on all the folks that are working for me. So I got to make sure they're getting paid. And they're getting paid day after day, month after month, month after month. So where's all the money or the resources coming from in order to maintain what I'm going to protect, which is all the booty that's been accumulated from one generation to the next? Then I have some children. Well, don't you want your children to be able to have the same comfort, mansions, and all the rest of it? And all I got to do is make a phone call. I'm on a Learjet or I'm on a Star Cruiser. I'm out of here, go some other place. Yeah, and all I got to do is make that happen. So you got to have some resource in order to make that happen. So what you end up finding out is now we have the next generation. So now that little kid now becomes an adult and takes over that empire. Right? So now you have one bloodline that keeps amassing and building their empire. Whoa, now there's another family bloodline that also has an empire that's been built as a result of what they've done to others as well. Now we're into the Game of Thrones. Right? One empire wanted to protect its assets because, let's say, over 10,000 years, if you look at it on a graph, it's gone up and it's gone down and it's gone up and it's gone down because of the exchange rate between electrons, protons, and neutrons. Or, if you will, units of consciousness that are relating to each other through neurons that are all trying to protect what it is that they are in energy, which is their consciousness. So these units of consciousness, represented by neurons and souls and soulless beings and everything else that is in creation, we all have relationships with each other. How are we all getting along with each other? So when I was a little kid growing up, I thought, where can I go in the universe where my energy is not being molested, or I'm not having to experience what war is because I am what love is? So I'm always where love is, which is through my heart and my soul, but I'm experiencing what everybody else is doing against each other. Over what? Energy. So you see how this is stepped down, so to speak, between one bloodline and another bloodline that's trying to protect what it's aware of, which is what it is in energy, through the sum of its ever-changing parts that it's trying to protect so that their children have what they need, right? At the most basic level, like breathing oxygen, right, that supports better health, water that supports better health. Now, when I was a kid growing up, these were like basic stuff, right? Don't you think every little living organism, is entitled to be able to be healthy and fit and joyful and happy as little molecules, the spirit in the molecule? Yeah, so this is what you notice over time, is that it's just one family, right? And other families that have relationships with each other that form alliances, right, in order to protect what it is they're aware of in energy, which is their consciousness, right, in order to maintain, right, a future for themselves. Now we're into futures. Well, the future of our children. How about the future of a universe? The future of a galaxy that can get along with itself? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Right? It was pretty obvious to me growing up as a kid, they're at war against the universe. They're at war against nature. Why would anybody do that? Because you realize when that happens, that mirror goes black. That's a hole. How do you get out of that hole? They're never going to be able to pay their debt. A psychopath will never be able to pay back its debt because it needs all that energy to protect itself because it fell. So you realize they're always living on borrowed time because the energy they're stealing, or if you will, molesters, molesting other units of energy that represent consciousness because that represents a battery, energy. Yeah. So, I know, Mama. So, that's my opening salvo for the morning. Even though I'm listening to some beautiful music, and the next thing I know, I switched gears when that came to me, because sometimes I reflect on what others say when it comes to bloodlines and families, right? And so, when I was growing up as a kid, and as important as that is, on one level, from an oversoul polarity integrator point of view, I stand. It's. How would I put this? I honor the highest code first and foremost, which means that even within my own family, as a soul, I have a responsibility to myself, to my own soul, and the relationship that I have with the source, my creator. And that's what it begins and ends with, is experiencing what love is. So my honor, my self-responsibility is to honor love. the highest level, because love does no harm. Right? And so that's where the healing comes in. Experiencing what we do to ourselves, or what I've done to myself, by virtue of what we do to others, because they experience the harm we do to ourselves, they experience in them, which is what? Loss of energy. Because we're all connected. So this is why, as an integrator, it's about restoring everything that was lost as a result of what? Lack of peace, lack of harmony, lack of rhythm, lack of balance. Right? And so that's what I do, is pull fragments in so that we can feel whole again, to experience the one, the first line of communication, the eternal spirit of fire, absolute eternal love. And that's what heals us. I know that because that's what I experience. That's what I use my energy to do every day, every moment. So anyway, have a beautiful day. Welcome to the Big Island, the Universal Tour Guide. Spiritual Guides, Universal Spiritual Tour Guides. Have a great day.